What's going on, guys, and welcome to your JavaScript tutorial. In this video we're going to talk about a comparison operators like the ones that we started talking about in our last video. And comparison operators are actually pretty straightforward, and we're going to start with greater than, and that's the one that we used over here in last video. But I could also write this one instead of just using a variable that I had. I could just write if, let's say 1 is greater than 0, then JavaScript do this. Type, let's say, in this case, I'm just going to change it over here. I'm going to say hello world. Okay, so we'll save that. And sure enough, 1 is bigger than 0. So it types hello world. Now, the same way, of course, we can just write over here. And I can just write less than, right? So if 1 is less than 0, which is not the case, the JavaScript should write hello world. Well, it doesn't because 1 is not greater than 0. Now, there's two more. So let's say that if I would want something greater than or equal, right? So this is how I would write. First, I would write greater than sign, and then I would write an equal sign. So in this case, I'm going to say, well, if 1 is greater or equal than 1, let's just write document right. And sure enough, it's hello world because 1 is equal to 1. However, it would also write if it's bigger than 0 because it is bigger than 0. It's not equal, but it is bigger. So over here, it also would write. And in the same way, you guessed it, you can write less than or equal to. So I could write 1 if it is, let's say, less than 1 or equal to 1. And of course it was going to write it because it is equal here. So let's delete this and let's save that, and we have hello world. Now there's also a couple of more interesting ones. So let's say over here in JavaScript, you know that this is an assignment operator. So let's say if I write over here 1, which in the math actually would make sense, 1 is equal to 1. In JavaScript, actually it doesn't. Because you can see that nothing has happened. Because what you're saying is you're actually assigning 1 to 1. And it actually doesn't make sense in JavaScript. So that's why in the JavaScript, you're actually, when you are comparing the values and you want them to be equal exactly, you would need to do something like this. You would need to do 2 equal signs over here like this, or 3. And I'm going to talk about what is the difference. So let's say that if I'm saying over here, if 1 is actually equal to 1. And you can also compare text strings, but I'm just working with numbers just for a little bit of convenience. So let's save this over here. And 1 is equal to 1. And again, I could have written here over, say, let's say text, and then I could write over here, say text, and now it sees that it's 2 strings, and it compares the strings, and it's again hello world. And if I would change around here, and if I would say world, then obviously it wouldn't work because they're not equal. Now I'm just going to switch back to numbers just for convenience sake. Now, what is the difference between 2 equal signs and 3? Well, here's the deal. This one actually compares whether the values are equal, but also the type of the value is equal. So let's say it compares whether the numbers are equal. The 2 equal signs doesn't do that. So even if I would write over here like this, and which we know is a string, and we run it, see over here, JavaScript, what it does, JavaScript does the job for you. Actually, whenever you do it like this, and JavaScript sees that you need to do some type of operation, it does actually convert it to the number. So what happens is that you're actually comparing 1 and string of 1, and it shows that it's the same, but actually you know that it doesn't. So if I would write over here 3 equal signs like this and save this, you can see it doesn't work anymore because the values are the same after this has been transferred to number, but their types are not. So it's not going to work. So that is the difference in between. Now, there's also a thing called not equal to. And the way you write in JavaScript not equal to, you would put an exclamation mark over here. So you can see over here that I have exclamation mark and equal. And what it means that, let's say I'm going to write if 1, and I'm going to say in this case is not equal to 0. And we know that that's the case, it's not equal to 0. So let me save this and it should run, right? So I run it, and of course, sure enough, it's hello world. And it's the same way it works over here. If I would put a exclamation mark and now I would put 3. It would, again, it's the same thing. I would just, I'm sorry, I added 1 too many. And let's just save this. And we run and it's hello world. So now if we go back to our example from the previous video, let's say, right, where I would write var score. And let's say score would be equal to 50, right? And technically our passing grade, let's say, would be 50. We could write if score, and let's say it's going to be bigger or equal to 50, right? Because if it's 50, it still counts that you passed. And let's say I'm going to write over here, you are smart, right? Save this, run it, and you are smart. And again, it worked with the same with the rest of them that we learned. And just a quick recap about the actual conditional statements, that we always need to write if, then we have to create a parentheses over here, and then within the parentheses we write our condition. So if if this is the case, then within the curly brackets we write you computer go and do something here. So let's say I could have written over here alert box. Could have said, well, Jen just display the alert box. So let's save that. Sure enough, you are smart. You see over here. So the syntax is very important, and you need to make sure that you are including the curly braces over here, and you're writing your statement that needs to be run within those curly braces. But however, the condition you write over here within the parentheses.